at some point in time, we all were out here. So we understand it, you know, and one of the things that's been successful is the fact that we've been able to actually sit down with them, have them tell us what's going on, and then actually talk them through it. Trauma, that's another big issue. These youth are traumatized. We're not dealing with the trauma either. You know, so back to your question, we are dealing with that. We're made to be working with DAO and various other organizations. And we welcome the community because it's a comprehensive approach. You know, no one.
But let me say this: it's not just the youth. We're also working with our elders. Our elders are very important to us in this community. Without our elders, we lose a library of understanding of who we are. So it's both of those groups that we go after to make sure that we as organizations hear them. We don't say what they need; we hear what they need, and it works better because when we transform this to our city councilwoman, our state representative, our DA, we're saying what they want, not what our organization wants. So now they get a better understanding of how to come into the streets and give back to what is needed in the streets.
All right.
So I just want to make sure, because the question was the DA's office, so they do the work, that type of work through organizations. Is that an accurate way of?
I would say that's fair. I would say that's
Okay.
fair.
Thank you.
He said he couldn't hear you.
I can't.
Okay, I know we're all masked up. I just wanted to make
That's why
sure
I'm tired, man.
that I understood. No, I just wanted to make sure that I understood that work is being done through partnership.
Absolutely.
That's a fair way.
Absolutely. And it's more than just that. That's the
grassroots.
good thing. The good thing is that we have a councilwoman that's involved. We have a state rep that's involved. We have a councilwoman at large that's involved. And I'm going to say this and then be quiet. When the thing came over at Zamar Jones when he was murdered, we had close to maybe 17 political people in the street speaking to the people, and the people love that more than anything else. Because sometimes people don't know who they voted for. They may not never see them. So for us to bring them out as an organization, we bring them out to them. It helps the community to get better, to heal. And that's why we do the things we do.
Thank you. And I have one more question. Why were the families of murder victims moved out of the DA's office building?
If I may, I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we have a complete answer to the last question.
Sorry.
So there is another way that we partner. I mean, you can see how persuasive, how persistent these folks are, and how compelling they are. But the other way that we partner with them is that the district attorney's office has promised for a while that we are going to have a different approach to forfeiture. The law around forfeiture has changed. The things for which we can use it have changed. We are one federal court ruling away from finally being able to do what we've been trying to do now for a couple of years, which is to take a chunk of money that's left over from the forfeiture lawsuit and push it towards community-based organizations that are doing anti-crime work, including specifically anti-violence work with youth. Micro-grants around the city and the money returning to the zip codes from which it was taken. So we are closer and closer to that. We also have forward-moving forfeiture funds, which once again cannot be used in the ways that they were used in the past, where it almost became a predatory situation. So we intend to also try to put some of our money where our mouth is, and to take these micro-grants to a lot of organizations that are run by earnest, sincere, capable, talented people like these two, and put that money there. Now the question was about a particular organization. Do you want to address that one?
Can you restate your question for me?
Yes. Why was the families of murder victims moved out of the DA's office building?
To the best of my knowledge, this is an organization that has been in the DA's office for a very long time. There's no problem with the organization per se. The problem we've had in the DA's office is one of space. During the COVID-19 crisis, we have not had enough space for our people to be there, maintain social distancing, and still come into the office. The homicide unit is one of those units where we've had to have people in the office because they've been prosecuting these cases. It's homicide, non-fatal shootings. So all the shootings that are going on and all the homicides, our people need to be there. Plus we have a large number of detectives there. So we need to make space for our people there, along with our victim witness coordinators, so that they can do their job. We just don't have the space at present.
How much of the $1.2 million in new funding will go towards community groups like DAO?
To the best of my knowledge, none of the CARES money will go towards community groups. The funds I was referring to are forfeiture funds of two different types. One's under the federal lawsuit, which has been going on for almost 6 years, and then forfeiture funds that are coming in moving forward, which we can use. We're under certain legal requirements, but those have shifted, and we believe that we are in a position to be able to support youth-oriented, anti-violence-oriented, anti-crime programs with those funds, that we intend to put them back into the zip codes from which they came. Are there
Quick
any other
follow-up, is that
questions?
1.2 million total for 3 years or 1.2 million per year?
I believe it's
Total.
3 years.
Over 3 years, thank you.
Just curious, where's that, it's federal grant money coming from where?
It's
It's Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency through the Victims of Crime Act Fund.
Okay.
So there's a flow of some federal funds to state funds, and then that comes to us.
And CARES has 14 employees, 3 full-time?
Yes,
Okay.
So the cars were purchased as part of the 1.2 or the previous law?
the previous one.
Okay, but DA Krasner, correct me if I'm wrong, you said 110,000 is the average amount of bail set for a gun case, and 150,000 is the medium amount of bail set for a gun with violence case?
The statistic that I gave you was only for the last week, so I want to be clear about that. This is the median, MEDIAN, meaning, the number that fell in the middle of all the other numbers. It's the median bail set for illegal possession of guns was $110,000. The median bail set for violent offenses involving a gun, which should be even more concerning, was $150,000. Let me be clear, though, if I may. I want everybody to understand that $110,000 does not mean $110,000. It means 10%, which is $11,000, gets you out of jail, and perhaps even more importantly, if a bail bondsman becomes involved, that it means only a third of that, usually. The difference is the bail bondsman will keep your money, and if you give the 10%, then you'll be able to get most of that money back. So we're not actually, when you say $110,000, we're really only talking about less than $4,000 gets you out of jail. When you say $150,000, it sounds like a lot. But the reason we're asking for $1 million is because it's not a lot. $150,000, when you pay 10% is $15,000. You go to a bail bondsman, you're out for $5,000. And I'm not saying that's a tiny amount of money, but I am saying that for people who have resources, including criminals who are deriving substantial profit from illegal activity, this is not a hard thing to pay. And that's why this office has been troubled for quite some time, that there seems to be no adjustment in what bail commissioners are doing during this pandemic, during this shooting and homicide crisis around bails. We think it's extremely important that all of the stakeholders are careful and understand the time.
And do you think that these current bail amounts are contributing to the gun violence?
I think that we will be releasing a report that will be scientific rather than speculative, and I think that that may shed some more light on it. But I don't want to resort to the kind of rhetoric and scare tactics that have for so long been what this office generated. I don't want to draw conclusions I don't know, but I can certainly tell you I find it concerning, and I am worried about it, and I look forward to being able to show that data in a way that is conclusive.
When is your report coming out?
It will definitely be within the next 60 days. Okay. I believe we're kind of at the end of the question session. If there are any other questions you really want to ask, perhaps